Hi, I'm Chris Jordan, and in the previous video we began looking at the BULATS question that focuses mostly on vocabulary and is a single sentence with A, B, C and D options. In this video though, we're going to be looking at another kind of word partnership that will be really important for us in the language section of the BULATS listening and reading test, and that's phrasal verbs. Phrasal verbs are really familiar to most English learners, but just to remind you, they're verbs followed by a preposition or a similar word. So words like set up, turn off, put off, throw away, or they may even be three words like look forward to or put up with. Phrasal verbs are very common in spoken English, and they're often used instead of a longer, more formal word that has a similar meaning. So, set up and establish mean basically the same thing, but establish is going to sound a little more formal than set up. And it's exactly the same with discover for find out or tolerate for put up with. Actually, phrasal verb questions are quite popular with exam writers, so it's a really good idea to be ready to deal with them. They're also going to be a little bit similar to what we've looked at in the last video, which focused on prepositions. First, read the sentence and have a look at the gap. It's helpful if we can try to work out what we think the sentence means even before we've started looking at the A, B, C and D options. We may even feel that we have an idea what the word might be before we look down at the options, and that can make it a lot easier. Next, we're going to look at the options. If we thought we knew what the answer is it in the list? In this case, we might feel that the meaning we need is, do you need help completing the application form? And perhaps you thought the missing word could be in, and we do actually fill in forms. However, when we look at the options, we can see in is not in our list. So we can try each word and see if it feels familiar with this meaning. Are there any words we could cross out? Well, fill up is a phrasal verb, but the meaning isn't right. Fill on and fill for are not phrasal verbs, though fill out is. And it has the correct meaning too, so it's the right answer. The next thing you need to be ready for with phrasal verbs is the fact that some can be separated. This is especially true after a pronoun like me, you, them, etc. Let's look at this example. Although the gap is not next to the verb, it's still part of it. So, before we look at the options, are there any words that come to mind? This person is offering to take someone to the station on their way home. Do any of these prepositions look familiar with drop for this meaning? Well, in fact, if we're taking someone somewhere in our car to leave them there, then we're dropping them off. Drop someone off at the airport, for example. And the opposite would be to pick someone up, also a phrasal verb. With these questions, you may also need to supply the verb instead of the preposition. So let's have a look at this. This is a slightly higher level question than the previous one, and if you're trying to reach a B2 or high intermediate level, you'd be expected to know it. So the sentence means that the result after the first set of interviews is they have 24 people they're considering. Can you think of a word used with up that has this meaning? Now let's look at the options. Do any look right? Are there any you think you might be able to cross out? Well, of these, the only verb that fits with up and has the right meaning is ended. End up is a common phrasal verb and used to show the result after a process or period of time. So let's finish up with one more phrasal verb question. This one's also aimed at candidates trying to reach an intermediate or high intermediate level. And reading the sentence, we see unless there's some improvement and will be forced to. And this is kind of indicating that it might not be good news, especially for the staff. So, can you think of a little word to go with lay that might fit this meaning? Now let's look at the options. Is the word you thought of in the list? All these words are actually used with lay, but does one of them feel familiar with this kind of meaning? Well, the meaning is they'll no longer be able to employ so many staff, and the word with this meaning is lay off. We're going to end the video with a slightly lower level question. What is it people might want to do when things become difficult? Is the word that you're thinking of in this list here? And are there any you could cross out? Well, the word that means stop doing something before it's finished is give up. That brings us to the end of this video on the BULATS vocabulary question with phrasal verbs. But remember, the lower level BULATS questions will focus on very common phrasal verbs that you will have seen many times, so don't be anxious. Also, don't forget to read the sentence first to make sure you have an idea of what the phrasal verb seems to mean. Then you can go back to the A, B, C, D options and see if any word seems familiar with that meaning. We hope you feel more confident in facing this type of question in the test now, but if you'd like more help preparing for BULATS or to build your workplace English ability, please check out the other videos in this series. Thank you for watching today and good luck.